Saturday, 11 in the morning. I wore a blue sundress. Nothing fancy, nothing that tried too hard. Jenna picked me up. She was my maid of honor, my coworker, and the best friend I'd ever had. She knew about the emails. She knew about the folder. She had Daniel's number saved as a favorite on her phone. "You okay?" she asked as we pulled into the gravel lot at the Laurel Room. "I'm ready," I said. And I was. I walked in and stopped 2 steps past the door. Photos everywhere. On every table, every wall, strung across the exposed beams on twine with tiny clothespins. Daniel at 5 learning to ride a bike. Daniel at 12 in a Little League uniform. Daniel at prom. Daniel's law school graduation. Gerald shaking Daniel's hand. Vivian pinning a boutonniere on Daniel before some event. Photo after photo after photo. Every single one of Daniel. Not one photo of me. The color scheme was champagne and sage. Vivian's favorites. Not navy and wildflower. The banner above the gift table read, "Our Daniel's next chapter." Not Morgan and Daniel. Not, "Congratulations, Morgan." Our Daniel's. Like the wedding was something happening to him, and I was just the circumstance. My mother was already there, sitting in a folding chair near the back with Jenna's jacket draped over the empty chair beside her. She looked uncomfortable. Not because she didn't belong, but because Vivian had made sure she felt like she didn't. Vivian met me at the entrance wearing a cream blazer and a smile that had been calibrated for maximum warmth with minimum sincerity. "Don't you look nice?" she said. The pause before "nice" landed exactly where she intended it to. Behind her, Patricia was setting up a camera on a tripod, pointed at the gift opening chair. The shower games came first. Vivian as MC, microphone in hand, reading from lavender index cards she'd written herself. "How well do you know the groom?" 10 questions. Daniel's favorite food as a child. His first pet's name. The street he grew up on. The name of his kindergarten teacher. Every question was designed to test knowledge that only people who'd known Daniel since birth would have. Which meant every question was designed for me to fail. I got 3 out of 10. Vivian announced my score to the room with a laugh that was technically kind and functionally humiliating. "Don't worry, dear. You'll learn." Her friends echoed it. "Oh, you'll learn. Give it a few years." The laughter was warm on the surface and cold underneath, like bath water someone forgot to heat. Jenna squeezed my hand under the table. My mother adjusted her napkin, jaw tight, eyes on the floor. She'd raised me alone, worked double shifts, and driven 4 hours round trip every week for 2 years to visit me in college. She didn't say a word because she knew, as I knew, that this wasn't a fight you win by arguing. This was a fight you win by waiting. Gift opening came next. My friends went first. A recipe box from my mother, handmade with family recipes written on cards in her handwriting. A hand-knitted scarf from Jenna in the exact shade of blue I'd chosen for the wedding. A gift card and a sweet note from Lisa. Small gifts, real gifts. Vivian watched each one with the polite attention of someone waiting for the appetizers to end so the main course could be served. Patricia adjusted the camera angle. Then Vivian stood up. "I saved mine for last," she said, and she smiled. She carried the gift bag to me herself. White bag, gold tissue paper. She held it out like a communion offering. "I put a lot of thought into this," she said. The room went quiet. Not silent, but attentive. The way an audience gets right before the punchline. I pulled out the tissue paper. First item, a gym membership card. 12 months prepaid to the Henderson County Country Club Fitness Center. Vivian's club, where Vivian's friends worked out, where Vivian would have been the one to see me walk in. Second item, a hardcover cookbook. Feeding Him Right, a modern guide to cooking for your man. The dust jacket featured a woman in a spotless kitchen wearing an apron and pearls. Third item, a handwritten note. Cream card stock. Vivian's perfect cursive. I read it once, then I read it again. You'll need these more than a ring. Perfect cursive on cardstock. A gym membership to fix my body. A cookbook to fix my cooking. And a note telling me that being loved by her son wasn't enough. I needed to earn it by changing everything I was. One woman in the back gasped. Then Patricia laughed. Sharp, performative, the kind of laugh that's an instruction to the room. This is funny, laugh. And they did. Vivian's friends joined in. Then it was the whole room. 40 women laughing. Not all of them meant it, but enough of them did. Enough of them looked at the gym membership and the cookbook and the note and decided this was entertainment. My mother looked at the floor. Jenna's hand was shaking under the table. I could feel her reaching for her phone. I put the gym membership back in the bag. I put the cookbook back in the bag. I folded the note carefully along the creases, the way you fold something you intend to keep, and put it back. I set the bag on the table in front of me. Then I looked at Vivian and I said nothing. Not one word. I sat there, spine straight, hands folded in my lap, and I looked directly at my future mother-in-law while the laughter circled the room like smoke. I didn't cry. I didn't stand up. I didn't leave. I just sat there and let every woman in that room see exactly what had happened. The laughter began to thin. Not because anyone felt guilty, not yet, but because my silence was wrong. The script called for me to laugh along or blush or cry or make a joke about how I really did need the gym membership. The script called for me to perform gratitude. I didn't perform. I sat still and my stillness was louder than any response Vivian had prepared for. Vivian shifted her weight. She smoothed her blazer. She glanced at Patricia. Patricia lowered her phone. Not putting it away, just lowering it, as if the footage had stopped being the kind she wanted. My mother sat in the back with her hands clasped together so tightly her knuckles were white. She didn't intervene. She knew me well enough to know that my silence was not helplessness. Under the table, Jenna had already texted Daniel. Her phone screen glowed, "Come now." I felt my own phone buzz in my purse. I didn't reach for it. I kept my eyes on Vivian and I waited. The room waited with me even though they didn't know what they were waiting for. The door was 5 minutes away from opening. The door opened. 42 women turned. Daniel stood in the entrance wearing jeans and the blue button-down he'd worn on our first date at Blue Ridge Roasters. He was breathing like he'd been running. The coffee shop was across the street, but he hadn't walked. His eyes found me first. I was sitting straight, dry-eyed. The gift bag was on the table. He looked at me the way you look at someone you love when you realize you should have been there sooner. Then he walked to the table. He picked up the gym membership, read the label, set it down. He picked up the cookbook, read the title, turned it over, set it down. He picked up the note, read it. I watched his jaw set. A slow tightening like a door being bolted. He looked at his mother. Vivian's smile was still on her face, but it had frozen. The smile of a woman who'd rehearsed every reaction except this one. "Daniel, sweetheart," she said, her voice dropping into the tender register she used when she needed control. "We were just having fun. It was a joke." Daniel held up the note so the room could see the cursive. "Who's laughing, Mom?" Nobody was. The room was so quiet I could hear the string lights buzzing above us. Patricia's camera was still recording. Red light blinking. 42 women who'd laughed 60 seconds ago were now looking at their hands, their plates, the exits. Vivian reached for Daniel's arm. He stepped back. Not dramatically, just enough. The distance of a man drawing a line. "I have something to say," he said. He turned toward the microphone stand. Still set up from the shower games, still plugged in, still live. He picked it up. Daniel held the microphone the way he held his briefcase. Steady, professional, no tremor. He didn't raise his voice. He spoke the way I speak when I deliver bad news to patients. Level, clear, leaving no room for misunderstanding. I want every woman in this room to hear what I'm about to say. He looked at Patricia. You can keep filming. He turned to Vivian. Mom, I've read every email you sent to our wedding vendors. The word every landed like a stone in still water. Ripples moved through the room. Glances exchanged. Postures shifting. All 47 of them. Over 4 months. I know you changed the flowers Morgan chose. I know you changed the music we picked together. I know you changed the menu twice. I know you changed the cake from carrot to vanilla because carrot cake wasn't elegant enough for a Whitfield wedding. Vivian's hand went to her pearls. Her mouth opened. No sound came. I know you called 8 of Morgan's guests and told them the wedding was postponed. I know you removed the vegetarian options from the menu. He paused. Morgan's mother is vegetarian. You knew that. You asked her at dinner. My mother in the back row pressed her hand to her mouth. And I know Dad helped you. His email is CC'd on every single message. His office phone is the number every vendor has on file. He held up the note, the cream card stock, the perfect cursive, and read it aloud one more time so there was no ambiguity. You'll need these more than a ring. He set the note on the table face up so anyone in the front row could read it. Then he looked at his mother. Before I tell you what Daniel said next, I want you to picture that room. 42 women, a camera on a tripod, a gift bag with a gym membership, and a note in perfect cursive. And my fiancé holding a microphone he never should have needed. What would you have wanted him to say? Keep watching. Daniel looked at Vivian. The room held its breath. I could hear the ice melting in someone's water glass. He said it once. Quiet. Final. The way a judge reads a verdict. You are not invited to our wedding. Vivian's hand dropped from her pearls to her chest. Her mouth opened. Not to speak, to gasp. The sound that came out of her was something between a word and a wound. Patricia stepped forward. Danny, I'm not finished. He set the note down on the table, face up, the cursive legible to the entire front row. This is what my mother thinks of the woman I love. A gym membership, a cookbook, and a note telling her she's not enough. He turned to face the room. The committee chairs, the church fundraiser board members, the country club wives, the women who had laughed. You all laughed. Every one of you. My mother handed the woman I'm going to marry a bag designed to humiliate her in a room full of people, and you laughed. Nobody moved. One woman, Mrs. Caldwell, the church choir director, looked at her hands. Her face was the color of the cream card stock. Vivian found her voice. It came out high, cracked, nothing like the measured tone she'd used for 36 years. After everything I've done for you. I raised you. I paid for your education. I built this family's name. And you're choosing her. A nurse from Brevard. Over your own mother. She was screaming now. Mascara running, hands shaking. The woman who never raised her voice, who controlled rooms with a whisper and a pause, was standing in the middle of the Laurel Room, shrieking at her own son while a camera recorded every word. I sat in my chair. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. Daniel had done what I'd given him the tools to do. I'd gathered the evidence. I'd built the case. I'd armed him with the truth and let him choose. And he chose me. Not because I asked him to. Because the truth left him no other honest option. Sometimes love isn't about choosing someone. It's about choosing not to stay silent. Vivian kept screaming. The words tumbled out in the wrong order. Fragments of accusations. Fragments of history. All of it collapsing like a house that had been standing on nothing but habit. She's turned you against me. That girl has. She doesn't even. Her father left. Daniel, her father left. And you think she knows how to be a wife? My mother stood up from her chair in the back. Jenna put a hand on her arm. My mother sat down. She didn't need to say anything. Everyone in the room had heard it. Patricia tried. Danny, Mom was just joking. Can we please talk about this privately? Daniel looked at her. Privately? She didn't humiliate Morgan privately. She did it in front of 42 people. So, no. Patricia's eyes moved to the camera on the tripod. Still recording. Red light blinking. She'd set it up to capture my reaction. Instead, it had captured everything else. She reached for the tripod. Daniel's voice, steady, leave it on. Patricia's hand stopped in midair. She looked at Vivian, sobbing in a chair now, mascara in 2 dark lines down her cheeks, then at Daniel, then at the camera. She lowered her hand. For the first time in her life, Patricia Whitfield Greer did not do what Vivian would have wanted. Then the room began to empty. Mrs. Caldwell stood up, picked up her purse, and walked out without a word. Then Mrs. Peyton, then 3 women from the garden club. They left the way people leave a building when they smell smoke. Quickly, quietly, without looking back. Nobody said goodbye to Vivian. Nobody hugged her. Nobody told her it would be okay. They just left. And the audience Vivian had built her whole life performing for walked out of the Laurel Room and didn't come back. The room was half empty now. Maybe 20 women left, most of them too stunned to move. Vivian was in a chair, sobbing into her hands. Patricia stood next to her, frozen, not comforting, not leaving, just standing there like a woman who'd misplaced her instructions. Daniel was still holding the microphone, but he'd lowered it. His hand was steady. His eyes were tired. I stood up. For the first time since the gift bag, I moved. I walked to Vivian. My heels clicked on the barn floor. 3 steps. 4. 5. I picked up the gift bag from the table. The gym membership. The cookbook. The note in perfect cursive. I set the bag gently in Vivian's lap. She looked up. Mascara smeared, lipstick bitten, eyes swollen. She didn't look like the woman who'd controlled Henderson County for 36 years. She looked like the girl in the wedding photo. The one standing alone while Rose turned her back. I said one sentence. Low enough that only the women still in the room could hear it. Firm enough that none of them would forget it. I think you'll need these more than I will. Vivian stared at me. I didn't raise my voice. The gym might help with the stress. The cookbook? Well, Gerald's going to need dinner when he gets home and has to explain those 47 emails. And the ring? I held up my left hand. The simple solitaire on the thin gold band. The ring Daniel slid across a coffee shop table. I earned this. And I earned the man who gave it to me. I turned to Jenna. I think the shower's over. Jenna stood up. My mother stood up. Daniel set the microphone back on its stand. We walked out of the Laurel Room together. The nurse, the maid of honor, the dental assistant, and the lawyer who chose love over legacy. The parking lot was gravel and late morning sun. Jenna walked to her car to give us a minute. My mother stood by the passenger door, hands folded, eyes bright but dry. She'd kept it together the whole time. The shower games, the laughter, the gift bag, Vivian screaming. Now her chin trembled just once, and she pulled me into a hug that lasted longer than any hug she'd given me since I was 9 years old. Your father would have been proud of you, she whispered. She didn't say it to make me cry. She said it because it was true. And because some truths need to be said out loud before the moment passes. Daniel was standing by his car, manila envelope tucked under his arm. He'd brought it. He hadn't needed it. The emails were in his head by now. Every line, every CC. But he'd brought it anyway. The way a lawyer brings evidence to court, even when the verdict is already clear. I'm sorry, he said. I'm sorry it took 47 emails and a gym membership for me to get here. I took his hand. You got here. That's what matters. We stood in that gravel lot for a few minutes. Inside the Laurel room, Patricia was helping Vivian to her car. I could hear Vivian's voice. Not screaming anymore. Just low, broken sounds that didn't form words. The camera was still inside. Still on its tripod. Still recording an empty room with champagne-colored decorations and photos of a boy whose mother loved him the only way she knew how. By controlling everything and everyone around him. Until control was the only language she spoke. Daniel turned off the camera later that evening. But by then it didn't matter. 42 women had seen everything they needed to see without a replay. The following week moved fast. I didn't post anything online. Didn't tell anyone what happened. I didn't need to. Hendersonville is a small city and 42 women is not a small number. By Monday, Vivian's co-chair on the First Baptist Church fundraiser committee called her to say she'd be handling things solo this year. The co-chair didn't explain. She didn't need to. 3 women from the fundraiser board had been at the shower. By Wednesday, 3 families pulled their children from the country club children's program that Patricia coordinated. No formal complaints. Just quiet withdrawals. The kind of exit that doesn't leave a paper trail but leaves a message. By Friday, Gerald called Daniel. Not to apologize. Gerald Whitfield had never apologized for anything in 61 years, and he wasn't going to start now. He called to ask a question. The first honest question I'd ever heard Gerald ask. What do I do now? Daniel was quiet for a moment. That's between you and Mom, Dad. But you could start by answering her honestly about the emails. About why you helped. About why you never said no to anything she asked, even when you knew it was wrong. Gerald was quiet for a long time. So long that Daniel checked to see if the call had dropped. Then Gerald said, I don't know how, Daniel. That's not my problem to solve anymore, Dad. He hung up. I looked at him. Are you okay? He set his phone on the table. I'm not okay. But I'm honest. And that's better. We got married 6 weeks later. Wildberry Creek Vineyard. 80 guests. The original 80. Not 120. Not Vivian's version. The ceremony was outdoors. 4 p.m. The way we'd planned it on a yellow legal pad at my kitchen table. Wildflower arrangements on every table. Cornflowers, black-eyed Susans, sprigs of lavender. Farm-to-table dinner with roasted chicken, grilled vegetables, a salad with local goat cheese. Vegetarian plates for my mother and 3 other guests. Carrot cake with cream cheese frosting because carrot cake was Daniel's actual favorite and always had been. Jenna stood next to me in a navy dress she'd picked herself. Daniel's best man was his college roommate, Marcus. Not his father. When the officiant asked, "Who gives this woman?" My mother stood. Her voice was clear and steady, the way she'd talked to nervous patients for 30 years. Her mother does. And her father, who's watching. I married Daniel Whitfield on a Saturday afternoon in October in an $800 dress I bought with my own money in front of people who loved us for who we actually were. No Whitfield family sat in the front rows. Patricia sent a card. No signature, no apology. Just a gift card to Target. Gerald sent a check for $5,000 with a handwritten note. For your new start. I'm sorry I never said anything. I deposited the check. I didn't write back. Vivian sent nothing. No card, no gift, no message. Nothing at all. I didn't expect anything. And for the first time in 14 months, that silence didn't feel like a wound. It felt like space. 6 months after the wedding, Vivian resigned from the church fundraiser committee. She didn't attend the country club Christmas gala. She stopped hosting her annual New Year's brunch, the event that had anchored Henderson County's social calendar for 15 years. The women who had laughed at the shower didn't apologize. They just stopped calling. They stopped inviting her to lunches. They stopped forwarding her the committee emails. They erased her the way she tried to erase me. Not with cruelty, but with silence. Patricia's husband, Todd, came home one evening and asked her a question that, according to Daniel, changed their marriage. Would your mother do that to our daughter-in-law someday? Patricia didn't answer. She started therapy the following week. Gerald still lives in the Colonial on the hill. He eats dinner alone most nights. Vivian is there. She hasn't left, but she's quieter now. The woman who controlled every room she entered has stopped entering rooms. She hasn't called Daniel. Daniel hasn't called her. That silence sits between them like the 47 emails. Documented, undeniable, and too heavy to move. I don't hate Vivian. I don't think about her most days. I think about the girl in the wedding photograph. The 22-year-old standing alone at her own reception while Rose turned her back. I think about how that girl had 36 years to choose a different path. And I think about the fact that she didn't. The cycle didn't break itself. Daniel broke it. And I handed him the hammer. Here's what I learned sitting in that chair at the Laurel Room. The people who hand you a gift bag full of insults aren't strong. They're terrified. Terrified that you don't need what they're offering. Terrified that their approval isn't the currency they thought it was. And the most powerful thing you can do is hand it back gently, calmly, with your spine straight, and let them sit with the weight of what they gave you. That's my story. A white gift bag with gold tissue paper. A gym membership to a country club I never joined. A cookbook I never opened. A note in perfect cursive. And a man who stood up in a room full of his mother's friends and chose the woman he loved. The people who try to shrink you are usually the ones who've forgotten how to grow. If someone in your life has ever tried to make you earn a seat you already deserved, share this with them. Like, comment, and subscribe to Quiet Justice Tales for more stories of truth and resilience. I'll see you in the next one.